You can see we pretty much tore this Nova down to the bare bones. It's a perfect time to go through your wiring, make sure it's still good, which a lot of times on these cars, it's shot. So this wiring, gone. So we need a good starting point. When we did our barn find on our Camaro, it was pretty much a stock car that just needed a little bit of love and refreshing. So it was great. We had a factory fit kit from American Autowire. All we had to do was literally unplug, plug things in, everything was good to go. We did a van. We did Bender's van. Well, that was more of a universal. So we could start, with a universal setup and kind of route it like we needed. Well, this is almost stock, but not quite. We've got a Nova, which is great, and we'd like to start with everything that a Nova has, all the right lengths and connectors, but we've added a lot of content. Electric fans, electric fuel pump, we might throw AC on it, maybe a high output stereo. Well, a stock factory harness isn't going to support all that. Now, American Autowire has a sort of perfect solution. It's their classic update. So I've got all the right connectors made from most of the original GM tooling, to plug in everything that's right from the original factory stuff, whether it's my headlamps, tail lamps, all my dimmer switches, ignition switches, but I've got all this extra capability in my fuse block, all the way through my bulkhead connector to kind of add on this stuff that I need. All right, we're going to start right here at the heart and soul, this fuse block. This is ATO, real compact. It's really easy to mount up there, and you've got all your labels here. So you've got all the circuitry and all the amperage capability for things like, power seats, power windows, AC, a lot of things that we might add to this car. So it's a great starting point here, and I've got all the wires are labeled, all the connectors, so it's easy to start just trailing them through the car and connecting everything that you're going to leave stock. And they've upgraded this bulkhead connector, so they don't use the old twin GM style, twin lock GM style. It's the 56 series heavy duty. So let me get this stuff mounted, get all the easy stuff clicked in place, then we can start adding some of that functionality we talked about. Now welcome back. I'm under the dash of this Nova here, and I've got our fuse box installed real nice, and I've got our bulkhead connector. So that means now I can start working on the other side of this firewall. Now a bundle of wires, it can look pretty scary, but all you got to do is check them out, and they got a label on them, so you know exactly what they are. Like this one, power seats, and this one, electric fan. Well, what do you know? It goes right up here to this bulkhead connector. So let's go on the other side of that connector. I'll show you what we got going on the engine side. Bam! Looking good.
Yeah. All right, so we should be able to drop this in.
I'll hook you up with some fasteners.
Now, we mounted this thing with zip ties that come with it. They just go right through the core, which is really easy. It's literally about 5 minutes worth of work. And we've directly mounted a flush mount, which goes straight to the radiator. Now, if you had time, you could build a shroud. You could pull it off, really give it some vacuum that would come around. But a direct mount, it allows you to pull all the way around the section, and then when you get up to speed, you've got air that it's going to blow by. So, for a quick application, something like this works pretty sweet.
Yeah, and if you get some troubles with heat, you can always try to build yourself a fan shroud, pull a little bit more air across the entire surface when you're idling around. Now this bulkhead connector is nice. I've got a split here. This is my engine bundle, so this is going to be everything on the engine side, and I'll string that out nice and methodically, patiently. It's going to have everything from, my ignition wire, my oil pressure sensor, all that's going to be in here. Well, this side is my whole front end. So this is going to be my headlights, turn signals, my horns. So these are going to route, maybe along this inner fender well. We'll put some cushion clamps, we'll wrap it all nice and neat at the end. Or I can even maybe tuck it behind, put a little grommet, hide it underneath so you don't see it. So I've left myself a little bit of extra, and I've routed myself up here to my fan relay. Now, you remember on the Camaro show, a relay is a remote switch. And the reason to do that is I can put light gauge wire inside the car, but out here I can put heavier gauge, high amperage right by the fan. So how this works, got my relay socket here, and remember from the Camaro, yep, I can apply a little bit of power, I can hear the switch clicking, I know this guy works, I can plug him in there. Now a relay's got two circuits. One is a low amperage switch circuit from inside, so that's this is my 12 volt, it's on a key on switch, and that's going to be completed once I ground. If I ground it, now my relay comes alive, I can flow juice through the big wires and feed my fan. Now there's two ways to set one of these up. My ground wire could be a temp switch. It's basically just a little dead switch. I put it in my cooling circuit. When it gets to temp, it'll ground. Bam, now my circuit works. But in this case, we've got our Easy EFI from Fast, and it's smart. It's already got a temp sensor. It's following every degree. It's calibrating the engine, fuel, and everything. So it's got an output. It's basically a ground as well. So all I got to do is once I get that mounted, I can run my ground to this wire. Now my computer is running my relay. Pretty simple, pretty basic. I've got a 30 amp fuse in here. This will go to either the battery, maybe off the starter, or a junction block. So I can run nice heavy gauge wire, a fuse. This guy's ready to go pretty soon.